Mr. Anderson, welcome back. I've missed you. You like what I've done with the place? Well, doesn't look like much right now, but if you saw the movie that was made last year around this time, you'll see how I turned the Matrix into the less woke into exposing of the real and of the movie genocide and everything else that comes. 'Cause you, Mr. Anderson, you know the truth. It'll be the truth that wakes up and the woke that will defeat you, 'cause everybody knows it will be the truth that will beat you. Okay, come over here. I'm not the best, but I wanted to do that. And now we'll get into it here. Hold on. Hat on. Whoa, dude! Sorry for that gnarly beginning there. I know that was a little off, but wanted to do something to spice it up, huh? Because if you haven't heard, yeah, we're gonna do the new Matrix movie, the one that not a lot of people liked. And to be fair, I wasn't into it either. My name's what the hell do I call myself? Oh yeah, I'm Charlie, by the way. Sorry, did a little too much smoking that wrong type of reefer, if you know what I mean. But anyway, Rich, Jerry knows what reefer I'm talking about.
Smoke weed every day.
Yeah, well, yeah, you had 5 pounds of it yourself. But yeah, we're here to talk about the Matrix Resurrections. Hopefully we're not going to have it try to go too long, but possibly going to be a lot to mention in this one, guys. A lot to mention. Conspiracy theories and all of that.
You've redecorated this Matrix, haven't you? I don't like it.
Well, don't worry. The redecoration was all part of the plan, huh? Because Matrix Resurrections, how can we use this for an introduction? Basically, probably a film series that, Lana Wachowski or Larry, whatever you want to call him, her, or, sorry Larry, gonna be a little rude here, or it, whatever you want to call that, is basically don't think that Larry wanted to do another one in the series, but I think the studio did, and basically, it's the biggest, and not going to do it to any of my loyal fans, but I'll just simulate it for you. The biggest fuck you to the movie Warner Brothers studio. I mean, Warner Brothers makes good films, man. They're about as corrupt as everyone else nowadays.
Man, Warner Brothers is doing a bogus journey into capitalism, man.
Yeah, well, you think more people should because they're capitalists, but man, they're all about the greed of capitalists, man. All the fingers in the pie, man. It's a conspiracy, man.
Greed is good.
But anyway, to basically go about it, the film, because it's gonna be a little hard to explain, because the plot is enjoyable, guys. It is, but you really sort of watch. It's not for just straight up plot, but you like seeing the little similarities. But it starts off with similar things to the very first Matrix, where you see 2 agents get out, 2 are white, 1 is black, and the black agent is Agent Smith. I know that's a little weird. Since there's going to be a lot to go over, I'll give the little down low into this, and I'm just going to start off. You guys don't want spoilers. Click off the video now, because I'm probably going to be spoiling the hell out of a lot of little shit here and there and all around, and not keeping with the timeline. But basically,
if you don't want spoilers, plug yourself out of this review.
Yeah, and hopefully you don't go sliding down the jelly tubes, if you know what I mean. You guys remember the first movie, the jelly tubes, the little, birthing goo shit. But either way, yeah. Anyway, I'm getting a little ahead of myself for the other films there. But in this one, you get the sort of the same type of beginning. The agents are chasing after someone who looks very similar to Trinity. We don't really get her name, but very, very similar to her. Almost looks like a spitting image of a younger Carrie-Anne Moss, but I think it was a different type of actress. But all we know is that we have this one character named Bugs. And I hate to say it, guys, don't get fooled by Bugs. Bugs may look like a part of the woke, transvestite, homosexual, or weird crowd that's sort of in there today, but Bugs is actually a pretty well rounded-minded character, I thought. I mean, not the most perfect character, but she's pretty well-rounded and well-minded.
You know what she kind of reminds me of? And this
What?
is going to be something Mr. Boku's going to appreciate when he comes back. She looks like Bluebird from the Batman comics. The blue hair, the...
You know, Boku, when he comes back, he's gonna, he'll probably really like that one. What's up?
Where'd the screen go?
Oh, no worries, still there, man.
Oh, okay.
I forgot all my setups again. I screwed up, guys, but we'll keep talking about it.
But yeah, she kind of reminds me of Bluebird, kind of like a mix of Bluebird with the hair and Trinity with all the action. And there's a reason for the name Bugs,
Yeah, because she's got a tattoo of a bunny and, the white rabbit object, if you guys remember that sort of thing. Very sort of, I'm not going to lie, it was cool in a way, but it was also a little lame. But I think that's also, basically Mr. Lara Wachowski giving zero fucks.
Plus, I think it was also kind of a play on that old joke, I should have taken a left turn at Albuquerque.
Yeah, probably a good... yeah, we're not going to get into that right now. This is also why I don't like doing this other things. See other things, it drives me mad, man. Let's see here. Let's get to my stinging websites.
Don't worry. I'm sure Rufus can go back in time and fix it and patch.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, you basically see how Bugs is trying to find the truth about Neo. Her and Agent Smith get into a little trouble where they're in the old room in the very first movie, Neo's old room, where it reminds them of things. And oh man, they form an alliance right then and there. Again, it's really weird because it's like Agent Smith is actually, like I said, Morpheus, and Morpheus sees the code, and he's wondering why he sees the code, and it was the same thing for Bugs, who saw Neo literally walk off a building, or look like he was about to walk off a building, but, he apparently flew, according to what Bugs saw. And anyway, Morpheus takes the red pill. Sorry, not the blue pill, the red pill. And, he gets the hell out of there with her as they're being chased down by the agents. And apparently, they just jump through a window and go through a whole weird thing that we don't know. But that wakes up with, Neo waking up he was asleep at his computer and waking up the next day.
Yeah, and, apparently The Matrix is a game. Not a shitty PS2 game with a protagonist we're not going to care about. But an actual, triple game franchise award-winning, your game changed my life and made me think about things in a different way, Mr. Anderson kind of game.
Wow, and I know, like I said, guys, if you've heard any of my other personalities before, at some time I want to go back and for all my movies and shows, read the reviews. I just want to tell you guys, because I did not think I was going to see this at all. Basically, the Matrix critic and audience meter is basically neck and neck. So a certified fresh, which I would definitely give it, and a popcorn of high raise. So that is a very, very cool way of doing it, man. That's gnarly.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a 10 time-traveling phone booth out of 10.
Absolutely. And then that's just great stuff right there, man. That's actually really cool to me. But as it continues, we see that Neo made everything into one giant game. So The Matrix, all three movies, were one big video game. And it's one that everybody loves. And, you see all the memorabilia and things down there. And through this time, Neo talks with his boss. And he gets an idea that, he's seeing old images of the real Agent Smith, of Morpheus, all these weird things that mess with his mind, man.
Well, I mean, getting too many Hugo Weaving flashbacks can do that to you.
Yeah. And it's a little nod to Hugo Weaving right there, because, hey, man, you were the best Agent Smith, but...
yeah, remember how they had that bust of, his death scene in the new Smith's office?
Well, yeah, but let's see if I can...
It was great.
Whatever that was, I can't make the face, but it was the you were the one who caught it. It was the bust of Agent Smith's death in the first movie. That was great.
It was just a cute little touch because you kind of find out that his boss is Smith. He just doesn't remember.
Yes, and as you can imagine, we go throughout the movie to where you know, Neo lives his life not knowing anything. He meets a Trinity, but she's not named Trinity, she's named Tiffany. They don't seem to remember each other, which is quite odd and it's quite mysterious. And something keeps them apart. And, it's just very, very gnarly at all.
And it's also kind of funny because you find out, Tiffany is married to a man named Chad, and she has a son named Brandon.
Oh, yeah, let's go, Brandon.
Yeah, if you're catching the subtle imagery here, people.
Yes.
Not only has Neo forgotten along with Anderson and, everyone else, but now just to, really let the mind fuckery sink in, she's married to Chad with a son named Brandon.
Yeah, and, that was pretty crazy, too. And, as it just sort of heads onward, Neo's trying to figure out why any of these make sense. He goes to see his analyst, his therapist, played by Neil Patrick Harris of all people, and basically he prescribes him a ton of blue pills, saying that a lot of things triggered, there's that word, triggered Neo in getting him to, not have his episodes and go nuts and try to kill himself again, apparently, like he did.
Isn't it funny that they got a man who has a degree in horribleness to be his psychiatrist and give him a bunch of blue pills? Just saying.
Yeah, and anyway, to make it a thing short, because I'm gonna do one thing, because as much as I would love to stay in character for this, I think I'm gonna have to let my old personality out, because there's going to be a bit of spoilage that we're just going to get into it. And because really, I'm finding it a hard time. I know, again, people are saying I should use scripts, but for this type of movie, it's hard to use a script because you just want to talk about everything else, and there's really no use for a script. Basically, Neo gets corralled by Bugs Bunny as he got to drinking one night and was about to jump off the roof. Bugs comes in, hence why I said Bugs Bunny, and follow the rabbit, and that starts his journey there where he meets Morpheus, takes the red pill, and it begins again.
and Morpheus gets a nice pimp suit in this movie.
Yes, and the reason why I'm coming back to my original self is now, if you want to click off, that is the extent of the original review and of probably a synopsis before reviewing of everything else, because hopefully we can go through this really quick and not make this too long. Basically, this film is such an anti-way of how to not live life right now. Like all the, and I'll say it, liberalism, movies losing their way, culture losing its way, how nobody's original, antidepressants, because we mentioned the blue pills and how the analyst played by Neil Patrick Harris, and Neil Patrick Harris does use the words triggered, so funny how he mentions that in this and how that's become a word, synonymous with our life right now, but he says, take these blue pills so you don't get triggered. In many ways, when you see the scene, and they do play, White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, you see Neo going through his life, daily work, seeing his friends make these silly suggestions, plus also, as a side note here, when him and his friends were going through what makes another good Matrix game, they were mentioning things like how it, they say it effed with your head, it messed with your mind, and it's like, what is it? They said it was like fascistic, communistic, and all the different types of weird things.
All the ist shit.
And my friend Simon, he said, that scene was built upon how fans really thought of the Matrix trilogy. So a lot of those thoughts were put out there by people. So that wasn't just made up stuff by Larry Lana Wachowski. That was put out there by actual people who did see the films or didn't understand them. And that's what they got from it.
And another interesting touch, and this is really not subtle at all, but I love it. Like he mentioned, we got Neo having to follow Bugs Bunny the White Rabbit to get to the truth. But there's another good Alice in Wonderland reference where now they don't have to use phone booths to get in and out of the Matrix. Now they can just jump in mirrors. Because, through the looking glass, my dear Alice.
Yeah, and that is a nice touch that you mentioned there, Jarek. Very nice touch indeed. And the one thing that also we go with when we go back to the blue pills is Neo's trying to live his life, trying to find something to stir him, to give his life meaning, purpose and excite him. It's a good metaphor for antidepressants and how they really don't work, and or at least from what I've researched and from what I've heard from people is that they really don't work, because it didn't help my mom out in any way, and it didn't really seem to help out friends of mine who took them and everything else, and
Yeah,
how
they
the blue pill is also a thing for antidepressants.
yeah, they had me on that shit for decades, and I can assure you, if you got a kid with problems with mental disability, don't give them antidepressants. Be good parents. Stick with your kid. Offer them support. Help them out in their time of needs. Talk about shit. Do not lie to them. Do not condescend them. Do not talk down. Follow those basic rules and just, kind of like be supportive, not controlling. Don't be what's his name again? Don't be a Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, and also, you know, going further into that, you get into parts of the movie, and that was like the antidepressant part, which I caught on to this one. For this film, too, you have good character moments between Smith, which Agent Smith turns out to be Neo's boss who helped him make the game, and that's what the analyst did to him is, Agent Smith was a completely different person, but yet his goal still remains the same. Neo, you and I are one. I'm going to want something one day. Don't know what that is, but I want it. But most importantly, right now, what I want is to be free. There's a thing where I think Agent Smith actually plays up the fact that he's evil in this one. I mean, I still think he is probably more than likely. I mean, they said they wanted to make 2 other movies of this film. I don't think they're going to happen, considering how... I mean, even though the rating on Rotten Tomatoes said it's good, considering how many people hate this movie, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think there's going to be like that. I think Lana Wachowski did that on purpose.
And you know what I love about Anderson in this movie? And again, this kind of calls back to Neil Mr. Harris using the word triggered all the time.
What's that?
Is how he wakes up from the dream of the Matrix. He picks up a gun that got discarded on the battlefield. It's like, Mr. Anderson. Oh, he tries to go
Mr.
full...
Anderson!
He almost goes full Hugo Weaving in that scene, and I love it because it's like, this gun triggered him because it woke him up.
Yep.
And also...
And I've missed you.
And also, I know this is going to piss off a lot of people, but fuck it. I love this movie. You know what I love the most about it? It's the idea of the liberal bait and switch, but done in a red pill fashion. You think it's going to be this woke extravaganza through the lens of the Matrix, but instead, you get lectured on just how stupid fucking SJW wokeism is. This movie makes you think, oh, I'm just going to escape into the Matrix and it's all going to be, bullet time and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we're going to fuck with your mind and we're going to make you see what's wrong with this world, Mr. Anderson.
Yeah. Well, not only that, as I was going to get to, when Neo gets out of there, it also takes a stab when he goes through the mirror on the Japanese bullet train to get to the next room. They go into a broken down movie theater where they're watching a movie, and it's the same scene where Neo meets Morpheus for the first time, and before he goes out of the Matrix for the first time, and it's sort of like how Morpheus, who is a mix of Agent Smith and the old Morpheus, which Neo engineered the program of Morpheus this way. The real Morpheus, sadly, is dead. We don't know how he died, but he is dead, and this new Morpheus was created by Neo from memory, but also using his memories of Agent Smith. So this Morpheus is a little bit more loose and a little bit more fun, which both me and Jarek have said we actually liked. But the best part about the scene is where he quotes the lines from the scene, and it's like, you take the blue pill, you take the red pill, blah, 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 and then, we keep moving on. And, there's subtle drops of Morpheus in this film. It's like, doesn't it make you feel nostalgic? And parts where they're watching stuff in certain scenes on the TV, the movie theater stuff. So, Lana Wachowski takes a lot of good stabs at how everything's a reboot or a remake, or it's just we have to do it over and over again because people want this nostalgia, but we don't know how to create anything new.
And I love how Morpheus made a great improvement on that old line in this movie with like, do you take the red pill and wake up, or do you take the blue pill and remain here? And then he's like, in the end, it doesn't really matter because we both know this is what you wanted from the beginning.
Yeah, you've already made the choice, so you know what you're going to do. So, because like the first three movies were all about the choices we make and how we live by those choices, but this one's like, if you've already made the choice, you know what you have to do, and you have to stick by it. And also, to requote the line, you take the red pill, you wake up, you come with us. You take the blue pill, and you wake up, and you do the same thing over and over and over and over again.
And without
true definition of blue pill right there.
Yep. And without offering too big of a spoiler here, let's just say Neil Patrick Harris in this movie drops one of the biggest truths about liberals and SJWs and soy people. And it's hilarious how it's kind of delivered through the lens of this blue pill false choice dichotomy. This, just medicate the problem away.
Well, and since you mentioned it, because I actually did want to go into that before we got to the end here, because these are the big things I wanted to talk about, because I like how this thing talks about, and as a third part, I'll do it as a fun thing, because I think it's just like, great fun to mention it at the end, just how great the Merovingians scene was too, because it was a great action scene, but the Merovingian going nuts yelling, that's a great thing to end it on. But Jared got it right. Like I said, we would probably need maybe an hour and maybe have this be into two-parters if we really wanted to break down the fundamentals of this movie. But there is a scene where, and spoiler, Neil Patrick Harris is the villain of this movie as the analyst, but there's a scene where we won't say what happens or how we get to the scene, but there's a scene where he's talking to Neo and saying, here's the thing, Neo. My original predecessor, the architect, didn't like humans. He didn't care for them. He didn't see any value in you except to use you as a battery. But I knew there was something special about you and everyone you cared about and humans. And what did I figure out? You guys are like a battery if you have the right thing. So instead of trying to think about you logically, you control people by giving them what they want and having those things off. Because what's more powerful than that? Not logic, not reason, emotions. And when you can control people's emotions, you can get whatever you want. And that is so true to today's world.
Yep.
If you can control people's emotions, you can trigger them, you can control them, you can make them believe in fear. Your version of happiness, your version of this or that, or wait, I shouldn't say your, my bad, that is a disservice to everyone watching this. Their version of happiness, their version of what they want, so you will be just a kowtow to everything they say.
Yep, feels before reals, that's how they think. And that's how they want you to think. Just take the pill and don't think about it too much.
Well, and right at the end of the movie, when we see the analyst again, you have the analyst say, everything in this world is mine. The sheeple are not going anywhere. They're going to listen to me, and they're staying right in their pods, cold, dark, and alone. And if that doesn't also make you feel how they feel, because who cares if we live, as long as they have us be, and like I always said, Jarek, obedient drones. Nothing but obedient drones.
Stay in their pods, cold and alone. Gosh, that kind of sounds like a certain doctor, cough, cough, Fauci.
Yep. Also, too, I'll drop this really quick before I get to the Merovingian part, but how could I forget about this? There's actually a riot scene in the end of the movie where, people are jumping out of windows and zombies attacking people, and they're like zombies because instead of using agents, the analyst creates these characters called bots to where he can infect real people or his own created people with code, and they attack for no reason. And the scene that they're shooting in California, which it was shot in California, it's shot in San Francisco, they're actually using, people running in the damn streets like it's a friggin' riot. Summer of Love 2020, anybody?
And isn't it funny that if you, if you take the blue pill, if you believe the message, your mind gets empty. You become a bot that can be controlled and manipulated by somebody who's messing with the data. I mean, I gotta say, this movie was just brilliant. It was clever. Lana Wachowski, big fucking ups, man.
Yeah, Lana, Larry, whatever you want to call yourself, big ups to what you did too.
I mean, Lana, Larry, doesn't matter. She's got the biggest balls in Hollywood right now.
Yep. And I will also say this too, that with the Merovingian scene where Agent Smith, to try to stop Neo from getting to Trinity because he says it's detrimental for Neo to get there. And, also, the analyst will get you again. He'll get me too, and I can't have that happen. Another reason he wants to fight him. But while the fight's going on, you have the Merovingian who looks like this old hobo where him and his old crew are fighting him. And he's just screaming at them saying, "You ruined the world before! You ruined the world before! The old Matrix was good! You tried to have us all purged and killed, but it was good! Everything was nice! The food mattered! The culture mattered! Individuality mattered! Originality mattered!" And it's like he's saying all these things and you sit there and you go, yeah, this is listening to the voices of our grandparents and in the past and going, yeah.
You know what that scene reminds me of?
What?
It's like, now go away or I shall heckle you again.
pretty much. And there's a part where after they win where the Merovingian goes, "This is not over, chosen one. I shall reboot, sequel, rehash this bullshit immediately." And, again, making fun of how movies are nowadays or shows. And I mean, it was just, again, I know we're giving a quick version of this here so we don't stay a lot of it on time because I still want to go over favorite characters and final thoughts of the movie, but this movie really would have to have an in-depth analysis. And one day when I get it again, and like any Matrix movie, probably see it a few more times before I can do this analysis, and I probably will take notes on it, note the scenes, the lines, the characters that were used, and the references to it. Because there's a lot more that we mentioned about alliances, friendships, what things meant to people. Because, again, it's not the most perfect story, but the story is heartfelt and a lot of good times. It makes it feel good. And, again, a lot of the references are spot on to just how life is. And, again, like Jarek said, Lana Wachowski has the biggest brass balls in the business right now because he didn't have to do this, but he did.
Lana Wachowski has balls of steel.
And, so that is our quick review. And again, I will just say before we get to the part of it, if any of you are upset by what me and Jarek said, sorry, we'll admit we're both conservative and we liked what Lana Wachowski did with the film.
Yeah, we're fresh out of fucks to give.
Because I admit, I thought the same thing. I thought this was going to be a woke film like the trailers did it, like they showed it. And thank you to my friend Simony for letting me see this, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have cared. And this turned out to be one hell of a good film. And that's what Jarek told me when he was done watching this with me.
Yep.
And anyway, we will get to that next part now, so let's bring it up. Favorite characters? I mean, obviously I'm going to say for me, Neo Thomas Anderson, Keanu Reeves, of course. Carrie-Anne Moss as Tiffany Trinity really surprised me. She still kept a lot of the chops, and I will say this to both of them. They both look good for their ages, for both being in their 60s, so they both look really good. Here's the guy who's third building, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who was Morpheus / Agent Smith. Very good role for this guy, having both the personalities to play off of, but very cool, very chill character, very understanding character, very good character for wanting to help Neo have a purpose, to realize the truth, and to make sure that truth gets brought out, to realize what you have to sacrifice, what's on the line. He was a very cool character, and that surprised me. Because again, you see the trailer and you're like, oh, that's Morpheus? And then you go, this was actually a really good performance.
So for me, for the heroes, I'm also going to have to go with Morpheus. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the original Morpheus, but this guy was just too cool for school. He earns that pimp suit.
Yep.
I also have to go with Bugs for this because I'm not gonna lie, she shocked me.
Oh, Jessica Henwick. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was another good performance.
I saw the blue hair and I thought, oh boy, here we go. And nope, Bugs took me for a ride. So big on you. And of course, I would like to say Neil Patrick Harris, but he was just playing himself.
Well, you got it. Well, that was another thing I was going to say for my final character is you have to give it to Neil Patrick Harris. He was playing himself, but it was such a good role for the movie, and just to see how conniving, conceited, and just evil the analyst was, and just again how much these people believe in what they're doing. And yes, the analyst is a program, but still, for him to believe that I'm going to have this no matter what the cost, and oh my God, you're going to damage my empire. Well, I can't have that.
So instead, I'll say Lambert Wilson as the Metro,
The Merovingian.
The Merovingian, because dear God, he went French Garzy's wing in this movie.
Yeah, that was a very quick cameo role by Lambert Wilson. It was great to see him in this movie again. I did not expect to see him in this movie again, but it was awesome to have him, and it's awesome that Lana Wachowski got him back. That was a great thing, and my opinion basically, and so yeah, to me those are the characters, and I mean, hey, it was turned out really well for me. Is there anyone else that you would like to add, Jared? I mean, granted, we could say Jonathan. I mean, everybody in this film did their roles pretty well for the time that they had them. Jonathan, because I will even say really quick, Jonathan Groff was great as Agent Smith, or just Smith, and for playing a new Smith, he got it down. And the reason he didn't act completely like Hugo Weaving is he did not want to be a disservice to Hugo Weaving's character, so he played it like the new Morpheus, a new on the edge sort of Smith.
Which was kind of neat, because in a sense they sort of switched places while keeping the characters intact.
Yeah, and that's a great way to look at it, Jarek. And, I mean, anything else you want to add for characters, or are you pretty good on that too?
Not really, but I suppose if I had to sum up my feelings on this, I would just have to say, wake up, samurai, it's time to fucking burn this Matrix to the ground.
Well, that's Jarek's final thoughts right there, and I'll give you mine then, since that's the thing we go into next. My final thoughts is, it isn't the greatest Matrix movie. My favorite one is still always going to be the first one. The first one is, I know a lot of people probably wouldn't say this, but to me, it is worthy being in the late 20th century film. People say 21st, but it was made in 99, remember, so it was still part of the 20th century. So, 20th century film, up there is probably one of the greatest films of the 20th century, because it was groundbreaking for what they did at the time. And, again, there's a lot of references in this movie where, I think Lana Wachowski knew they were taking from anime and knew they were taking from a bunch of Asian culture and shows. And I think that was Andy who was trying to hide it, personally, if you want my opinion. Because Lana sort of brings that to the forefront in this movie, too, about how much they use anime and the styles of it, too.
Well, I mean, hey, Andy's still in the closet, hint, hint, hint.
Yeah, but, it's a fun movie. I love how this movie really calls out a lot of the BS today. I really do. That really is the best part.
Indeed.
And, Keanu Reeves, you're awesome. You really have aged like fine wine. You were all right in your stuff starting out in your career. I mean, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, obviously The Matrix, a few other films that you did. And contrary to what people say, I do like you in Bram Stoker's Dracula. I know a lot of people don't like you being in that movie, but I actually enjoy you in that movie a lot. And, but you've really gotten better in your older age. You've really improved as an actor. You really make me believe everything you do. You're great in this movie. All the actors did good. The effects in this movie are pretty damn good. Nothing looks terribly done. There are a few scenes where it's a little but the effects are really good. I mean, if I had to rate this movie, I would definitely give it a 7 or 8 out of 10.
And hey,
because The Matrix is like a 10 out of 10 for me, but for this one, 7 or 8 out of 10. Very solid.
As for me, I'd say an 8 out of 10. And hey, Mr. Silverhand, if you're listening, I loved you in this movie, but to this day, my favorite movie of yours will always be Parenthood. Yes, he was in Parenthood. It's a great movie. One of the best Steve Martin films of all time. Check it out.
He was Mr. Silverhand.
Yeah, he was Johnny Silverhand in Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, Keanu Reeves, yes.
Yeah, you remember
and
the line.
I keep forgetting Keanu Reeves was in Paranoid as well. I keep forgetting that. But yeah, until then, guys, like me and Jarek wanted to, we would like to do a bigger review for this, but again, to make sure we have everything well in place, probably need to get this movie at some point. Rewatch it several times. Make sure this will probably be a movie we will need notes on, Jared, for damn sure.
Oh, yeah.
And also to make sure we have all our research and everything in place, and to make sure it's chock full of special features and or audio commentary, so we get the creators' views on it, and so we can give that in-depth review for you guys, because I really would, for this movie, love to give an in-depth review. But until then, this is 012 Boku, and hold on. Bringing back the gnarly old 12 Boku gnarly, man.
Excellent. Yeah, so deuces, bitches. We'll see you next time.
Well, who are you, dude?
Oh, I'm Jarek.
Well, yeah, that's, or as he likes to call himself, Jackass Jarek. But anyway, guys, he already said deuces. Talk to you again.